on my iPad. I'm up in Jacksonville at my best friend's baby shower today, but I still wanted to have the study because next week we will not be having it. So I didn't want to have 2 weeks in a row where it was not, where we didn't have it. So we're gonna make it work this morning. All right, we got a couple people jumping on. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody has had an awesome week. We're gonna go ahead and get started because it's a little bit after 8:30. So go ahead and get out your Habits of Health book and your workbook. And Katie, you can go ahead and press record. Give me like the thumbs up when you do it. Okay, awesome. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Donna. She's saying hi in the chat window. I'm Julie Baker. I'm a certified health coach with Take Shape for Life, and this is our session 4 of our Habits of Health book and workbook study. See a couple people logging on, so good morning. Today we're going to be talking about chapter 4 in the Habits of Health book and lessons 6 and 7 in the Living a Longer, Healthier Life. So you can follow along, and you will need a pen this morning. There is lots of writing. I know we're going a little bit backwards because we've done our health assessment in chapter 5, and then we go back and read chapter 4. So I know it's a little bit back and forth, but after today, we will have finished the first section of the book. So after today, next week, we'll basically start, it starts talking about our eating plan and things like that, going more in detail. So I'm excited about that. But this morning, we are in lesson 6, the power of choice and discipline. I know we've spent a lot of weeks up until now talking about what we would like to accomplish and really how we set goals and how we think about those goals and things like that. So this is really talking about the power of choice, so that we have a choice and that we need discipline to make those choices. So I love in chapter 4 where it's talking about the different types of choices. Okay, so in the book, it's going to talk about 3 different kinds of choices that we have and the hierarchy of choice. Those choices are fundamental choices, primary choices, and secondary choices. So if you open up your workbook on page 33, you will see where it says, what are the daily choices for optimal health? And it allows you 3 spots to write down what they are. And it even tells you where to find them, Habits of Health, page 25. So that's what's great is you can go through this and you're not, searching to find things. They go along really well together. So the first type of choice is our fundamental choice. And on page 28 of the Habits of Health book, it says it's the same with any fundamental choice. Once you make the choice to be healthy, you've made it your business to act in accordance with your goal. So if that is your goal, then your actions are going to reflect that. You're taking full responsibility for your actions rather than letting circumstances drive your decisions. You become the author of your own life story. So I highlighted that. I really like that paragraph on that page because once you make that choice to be healthy, then all of the other things that you do, your actions will fall in line with that. So I was actually talking with one of my health coaches this past week, and I liked how she put it, and it went right along with this chapter. So I was excited. I was like, I just read about that, and now we're talking about it. It's just that, you kind of make up your mind the person of who you want to be. I want to be someone who is active and healthy. And so my actions are going to reflect that. Instead of saying I'm going to do this, this, and this, even wording it different, like I'm going to be a person of health. And then your actions will reflect that. So if you're going to be a person of health, every day when you go to make those decisions, do they reflect being a healthy person? So sometimes even just mentally thinking about it in a different way is really enlightening for us. So in your workbook, so you're going to write down fundamental choices. That's your ultimate goal. The second type of choices is primary choices. And those, so I wrote in parentheses next to these. Primary choices are our habits. So you can write habits in parentheses. The third type of choices is secondary choices. And in parentheses, I wrote daily. So the three types of choices are fundamental, primary, and secondary. And these are all the different choices. We make so many choices every day. That is why we talked a little bit about last week, why our habits are so key, because it allows our brain not to have to make as many choices. So when you actually sit down and think about the choices that you make every day, you know, what time are you going to wake up? Are you going to wake up? Are you going to press snooze? What are you going to wear today? Are you going to wear this shirt or that shirt? Or, I mean, the amount of choices that our brain has to make every day is a lot. So when we have an ultimate goal in mind, it will help make those choices easier. The habits, which are the primary choices, are just things that we do out of habit or out of just consistent action. And then the secondary choices are the things that we do every single day. So if we can get all of those to line up with our health goals, it makes it so much easier to think about, instead of, you know, a big overwhelming, like, I'm just trying to get healthy, I'm trying, but I don't know what I'm doing. Because we hear that a lot, right? You know, people, yeah, I'm trying to get healthy. Okay, you know, what are the steps that you've taken to do that? Because that can be an overwhelming goal if your goal is just to be healthy. You know, that's a very vague description. We have to break it down. Okay, so in the book on page 30, and I love this too, because it said on the side in that purple sidebar, it says optimal health isn't a destination, but a state of being that you achieve. A change in orientation whereby you create a new state of being that revolves around the daily choices that support health. And I think something that might help a lot of us too is just to realize that being healthy is a journey. It's not a destination. You never arrive at, you are the complete ideal of optimal health. There will never be a day where it's, you know, you're done and now you don't have to do anything else. Like you're just finished for the rest of your life. It's not going to happen that way. Hopefully that's not discouraging to you, because I know sometimes people are just like, oh, you know, there will be points in your health journey where you reach your healthy weight, and that's super exciting. You know, there will be points where maybe you get off medication, or, you know, definitely moments of time to celebrate and achieve your smaller goals. However, being healthy is a journey. And so there's always going to be something that you can improve on and get better at, and all those things. So I think maybe just making that mental shift of, you know, I'm always going to strive to be better. And I am going to celebrate when I reach my mini goals. I am going to be proud of myself. I'm going to celebrate because I worked really hard. But also knowing that I'm not ever just going to stop and be done and I've arrived and we're finished. So, and be encouraged by that, because I think that getting healthy can be fun. We can do it together. We can encourage each other. It's not something that has to be this, you know, this daunting task. So we're doing it together. In the workbook on page 34, we're going to talk about our previous choices and next time actions. So there's a lot of writing today. Think about some situations in the past where you've struggled with some sort of choice and you've made a poor one. Write them down and determine your next time actions based on the desires of outcomes that we talked about last week. This will give you a taste of the power of making decisions that support the outcomes that you want the most. Okay, so if there was a time for you that you made a wrong decision and you knew after the fact that was not what I should have done, go ahead and take a minute. We're going to write these down, and what are you going to do the next time? And honestly, that's how we learn. Failure is how we learn. When you're learning how to walk, you fall down a million times. You just keep doing it until you get it. So we're not learning unless we're failing, and that's okay, as long as you learn how to fail forward and learn from your mistakes. So write down a time that you made a mistake and what you're going to do next time, or maybe it's something really tempting for you. Maybe you went through a drive-through and got food that you knew that you shouldn't have gotten, and you ate it and then you regretted it later. Next time, what are you going to do? So we're just going to take a minute and you can write those down. If you can't fill in all 5, that's okay. Just do 1 or 2 if that's what you can remember. Would anybody like to share? Katie, can you come off mute? Do you know how?
Yeah. Oh, which Katie? Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Other Katie, are you off mute?
I am.
Okay, awesome. Would you like to share?
Yeah, yesterday we took my mom to, my mom has Alzheimer's, and we took her to a care facility for the first time for like a 5-day respite. And it was me and my sister. And before we went, it's like, I think we need a drink. Well, that's not really on the program. And when we got back, I said, I think we need a drink. Again, not on the program.
Yeah,
we did have a great shrimp salad with lettuce and all that stuff, but I think just changing the response to a stressful situation, because it was stressful. It was, I mean, like your
coach is telling you to call her. Call your coach when you're stressed. Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. When thank you for sharing. When we're in stressful situations, yes, a lot of times we turn back to those old habits that we're like, oh, I know I'll feel better if I do this.
And
we might feel better. I'm not saying that we won't, but is that supporting my overall goal of being healthy, right? So you have to take that step and think about the stop, challenge, choose. Okay, I really want to drink right now. Is that supporting my overall health goal? And then, like you said, no, I know that this is not on plan, and so, yeah, definitely kind of, so next time, what would you do different? Or maybe you didn't, so maybe you picked the right choice, but what is a good alternative to that?
Well, I mean, the alternative would be to not make that recommendation, not make that choice. I was really glad I didn't stress eat, because I did make the choices to, like, whenever we went to the grocery, because we went to the grocery store after we finished dropping her off, and we're going to get some, we were looking for things to make our drink with, which is really funny. But I was so hungry because it had been like 2 hours past, almost 3 hours past, and I had the last meal. And I said, you know what, let me look for some pickles or some okra. And I got some pickled okra, and we had a few pieces of pickled okra in the car to hold us over till we could get our salads made for our dinner, and had the shrimp and everything. But I just simply could have said no. I could have made a different choice. I could have called Katie and maybe talked to her a little bit about that. It's not your typical everyday stress.
Sure. Yep.
Oh,
yep.
But it was, but that was a little better. And another one was just peer pressure. That's the hardest thing whenever you're around people who cook. And they want you to eat, and they know you've always enjoyed their cooking. I think that's one of the harder, that's hard also.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a big part of that is letting people know what is important to you, especially and your loved ones and the people that you're around. And I say it that way because I don't mean, hey, I'm on a diet and I can't eat your food. That is not, that could come across offensive, but really, it's not sharing your heart. It's, you want to tell people your reason why, you want to be healthy, and they're always going to be okay with that because they love you. I really want to reach my goals of losing weight, getting healthier, getting off my medications, because it's important to me for whatever your reason why. And if you tell somebody who really cares about you, they're going to go, wow, that's awesome. Okay, yeah, sure. Like I will, we can do something else or whatever. But I think a lot of times we just maybe we don't feel comfortable, saying or sharing, or just, we don't tell people, we don't tell them why we're doing things. So you're going to laugh, but my husband is the one who actually introduced us to Take Shape for Life. And when he went on program, he did not tell me why he was doing this. It pretty much came across as, yeah, I spent like $300 and some on food. And I was like, what are you talking about? That is literally like the conversation. And I got mad because I didn't understand, because that was all I heard, was that I just spent a bunch of money on food. And I was like, what are you even talking about? Had he told me, listen, I know that I come home from work and I'm exhausted and I sit on the couch and I have no energy and I can't help you with the kids, that right there would have been like, oh, okay, and you have my attention, I'm listening, I need to change something. Like, I need to change what I'm doing. I need energy. I need to be healthy. If he would have told me why he was doing it, 100%, I would not have gotten mad at all. I would have been like, yes, I'm here. I'm supporting you. I will do whatever. Now, that conversation came later after an argument. Okay. But like, had he told me that up front, of course. Yes, of course. I didn't know why. All I knew was that he just spent a chunk of money on something I didn't know what it was. So if he would have explained to me why, I would have, like, and I did obviously, but sometimes it's just explaining that reason. And I was driving for a long time yesterday, and I listened to a podcast. There's the Habits of Health podcast. So one of them is what to do when life happens. So Katie, I know you said things with your mom. That's obviously that doesn't happen every day. It's a different situation, but life happens. There's always going to be things that come that change our lives and our schedules, and they just get kind of crazy. And it was really good. It just talked about some things that we're going to get into later on in the study about how to deal with those things and not be a stress eater and an emotional eater, and just some alternative ways to deal with high level of stress. So thank you for sharing. So, okay, we're going to go in the workbook at the key to discipline. This is one of my favorite parts. So it's on the bottom of page 34. Okay, I highlighted, underlined, circled this. It says you've probably been trying and failing to use your willpower to get healthy. Anybody ever done that? I'm going to do this. Yes, this is it. I'm going to do this. Maybe you've gotten to the point where you avoid making choices at all, but even that lack of decision is a choice and not one that's serving you well. So knowing how to determine what's primary and secondary allows you to rise above the situation to support your greater good. So, and then this kind of goes into our frames of desire and what that really means, and how our appetites and our impulses and all of those things fall into the decisions that we make every day. So, sorry, I'm just reading part of this. At the top, it says this section contains new material, which is not in the Habits of Health, but it's designed to help you deepen your understanding of the consequences of your actions over a long period of time, and then making those decisions that guide you to optimal health. So the close-up frame of desire. So this is a lot of writing. We're just going to go through, so probably the next 4 pages are a lot of writing. But it's talking about our behaviors and just our instincts, like habits, things that we do. Okay, so on page 35, list 5 current habits that fit into this frame. So this frame that we're talking about is the close-up frame. This is the frame of appetites, instincts, and desires. So things that we want, and we want them now. So for example, going to an all-you-can-eat buffet, even though I'm overweight, or taking the escalator rather than the stairs, even though I'm not exercising. One of the ones I wrote down, so these are your behaviors that you do. If I'm tired, I will watch TV instead of going to bed. That's a good example. I'm going to eat candy in my pantry because I'm bored. Something like that. So these are human desires, things that you want it now, so you're just going to do it. So it's just been something that you've done. So we'll take a minute and write some of those down. Okay, so in this frame, this is the close-up frame. Time passes very quickly, so it's immediate gratification. So that's what these are. The next page is the medium shot frame and how that's thinking. So now we're thinking in terms of not necessarily today or right now, but a little bit longer, maybe weeks or months. And so these are things that I'm on page 36 of the workbook that are, instead of our impulses, these are things that are aspirations or values, like things that you want to do in the future. Some behaviors that fit into this frame are, I want to start walking every day to improve my health, or I want to start reading labels to eliminate certain things from my diet. So maybe you're not doing these things right now, but you want to be doing them for the weeks and months to come. So this is the medium shot frame. So take a few minutes and write a couple things that you want to be doing. So these are good things that you want to start incorporating in your life. Okay, since there's a lot of writing, I'm going to move on to the next one. If you need to go back and like pause this recording or something, you can do that. So the medium shot frame, now we're going to move on to the long shot. Okay, so this is where we're able to think about the long-term future. But this is also like, someday I'm going to do this, this, and this. So if you've ever said, well, one day I'm going to do that, but there's no set goal or time frame or anything like that. In the long shot frame, can't talk this morning, someday never comes. It's the frame of vague hopes and empty dreams. So this is maybe excuses that you've made in the past. Obviously you are on here today, so you're making that healthy choice and a choice to move towards optimal health. But maybe a while ago, you said, I'm going to get healthy when whatever that thing is. One day I will work on, making healthier foods, or, when so-and-so moves out of the house, then I will be able to make dinner every day, or, whatever. So that is on page 37, just things that fit into the long shot frames, just vague, very vague, one day things. Okay, now what frame do you think that we should spend our time in? We're gonna go with the medium shot frame of making attainable goals, and you know what? Reality comes, and there are times when we are consumed by the close-up frame of what we want, and we want it now. But being able to think in a little bit more, it's like when you take a camera and you zoom in on something and you see all the little details, and you zoom it back out, and then you see a nice picture. But then if you go really far out, then you can't really even see the picture anymore, right? It's kind of blurry, and it's like, oh, I can kind of tell what that was meant to be, but I can't really see it. So instead of being all the way close up or all the way back, you want to be like somewhere in the middle, the medium shot frame. So I think that's maybe a good way of thinking about it. So on page 38, we're going to talk about the frames of reality and the close-up frame of reality. And some of this is obsessive detail. I know we've all been caught up in these things. Like some of the excuses, okay, I can't lose weight every day because there's snacks in the break room. And I have heard some of this stuff, maybe you've even like maybe you haven't verbally said it, but you've thought it in your mind before. I can't go for a walk because I have to make phone calls in the evening. These are excuses. And we've all made excuses, right? And so write down some of these things that maybe they've been an excuse for you. Well, my husband doesn't eat healthy, so it's really hard for me to eat healthy. Really, we think this is reality. This is close-up reality. This is what we see very close up, that this is our reason why we're making up this excuse. Then we're going to talk about the medium shot of reality and then the far away shot of reality. So what excuses have you put out there that you can't lose weight or can't be healthy because of these reasons? And one of the things that I really like, keep writing if you need to. Since there's so much writing, we can't take like the entire time. But I like how it talks about, when we talk about a medium shot of reality, we kind of notice that some things will repeat themselves over and over. And maybe you've even written things just in the study so far that you've written the same thing like multiple times. I think a lot of it is just knowing the patterns of our behavior and learning about ourselves, learning that, maybe we can't do certain things that other people can do. Not that they're, horrible things. It's just, that that's hard for you. It might not be a big deal at all for someone else, but it is a big deal for you. And that is okay. It's about knowing yourself and knowing, even what positions to put yourself in. So the medium shot frame of reality. Have you identified a repeated behavior that wasn't in your best interest? So the example here is, if I go to the movies, then I'm going to eat popcorn. If I go out with my girlfriend, I'm going to drink too much. Okay, one of the ones I wrote is, if I go out for dessert, I'm going to get dessert. That sounds really, duh. Okay, but how many times people are like, let's go get dessert, That's what you're going to do. So, instead of, oh yeah, we're going to go get dessert, let's grab coffee, or let's change the time. Instead of going out late at night, if that's hard for you, can we grab coffee in the morning? Earlier is really better for me. And then that I'm going to eat a meal replacement and coffee. Or, whatever it is for you, write down your repeated behavior that's hard for you, or that, maybe it's even a situation that you don't want to put yourself in, like going to the movies. The movies are not bad, but if you know that that's going to be really hard for you to do, maybe you need to do Redbox for that movie and eat your Medifast popcorn, or take your popcorn to the movie theater, or whatever. You need to change that chain of behavior, because you're hurting yourself if you don't. You're making it so much harder on yourself. Like, change that habit, change that behavior, and you will notice that things will become a little bit easier. So write down some of those things. Okay, and then we're going to go into the long shot frame of reality. Okay, this one's funny because, it talks a lot about, using slogans and generalizations like no pain, no gain, things like that. They're encouraging, we all have this shirt that says something motivational when we work out or whatever, but it's like, even talks about mottos, slogans, catchphrases are awesome and they're motivating, but they're not specific, and so sometimes we just get caught up in this, and we don't, it's kind of a long shot reality. We don't zoom in on exactly like, okay, here are the things that I need to be working on. So you can see on page 40 of the workbook, it'll show you in the middle, there's a little chart with squares. Okay, so on the outside of that is vague slogans and just generalizations. In the middle is where we want to be with overall shapes and patterns. What are the patterns that we're doing? And in the middle is the obsessive detail. So it's good to look at it that way and kind of know where a lot of your habits fall. And sometimes these are not rational at all. It has the example of the long shot frame of reality. My weight has increased because of my family history. I can't go for a walk because someone, this is funny, because someone was robbed in the next town last year while they were walking. Just things that you're like, what? And even as a health coach, I've had clients say things like this to me. And so it sounds out there, for us, because I'm like, what? So let's try to go a little bit closer. Let's zoom in just a little bit and figure out, okay, so what is causing you from not taking a walk? It's probably not because somebody got robbed in the next town over last year. Like that might be what you think the reason is why you're choosing not to do that. But let's go a little bit closer and figure out why you don't want to do this. That's more of an excuse than reality. So really breaking it down and figuring out, I've even had clients and pre-clients tell me, I'm overweight because I don't want to eat healthy. I just don't want to. I'm like, okay, well, it's really hard for me to change that in someone. But you need to look at the bigger picture here. Let's think not just about today or tomorrow, but where are you at in your health in a month or a couple years from now? You might not feel like eating healthy and changing your habits, but and this talks about this in the book. A lot of people have that moment where it's a reality check. They go to the doctor. Their doctor tells them, you're in the obese category. You have high blood pressure. You need to go on medication. And that for them is that, what? They didn't realize that it had gotten to that point. And that is where they have to make a decision. You might not feel like eating healthy and changing your habits and doing all of those things, but when your shot of reality becomes shifted to, this is about your life, and it's not about just eating that food that you want when you want it. It's not about those obsessive details. It's about the bigger picture here. Then that's when a lot of times it clicks for people and they're like, I have to do something, right? We've all had people that I have to do something. I have to do something right now. So it's where we want to be is kind of in the middle of those two things. So on page 41 of the workbook, it talks about medium, just being somewhere in the middle. And the first paragraph talks about what are our trends and tendencies? What do we tend to do? And that's where I just wrote in big letters, know yourself, learn about yourself, and really how to do structural tension. So I know we have talked about structural tension in other chapters before, but this is a good little chart right here where it just says, your current state of health in relationship to your goals, your trends, tendencies, who you are. The tension is the push and pull part. That's what tension means, getting to your optimal health. And I pulled one of our structural tension sheets out. I can email this to you, or you can ask your coach so you can see this if they have one. If this is something, we're going to go in the workbook in the next chapter about how to do these. Can you see that? I know my lighting in here is not the best, but it's how to reach your goal out here at the top, your desired outcome. Then you list things when you're going to do and what you're going to do, because it's great to make goals, but if we don't take those daily action steps to get there, it's really hard to get there. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So we're going to go on to lesson 7 in the workbook, and that talks a lot about structural tension. And in the book on page 32, it talks about, your 1-year goal. It has a structural tension chart. So it shows you your optimal fitness goal. This person says their current reality is I just reached my healthy weight and I'm walking some more. My 1-year fitness goal is I'm fit with great aerobic stamina, 14% body fat, lean muscle, plenty of flexibility and agility, and the ability at 55 to do all the things I could do at 25. And so it talks in the book, if you read the chapter about Dr. A wrote a story where he was out golfing and he saw Jack Nicklaus, who is one of the world's best golfers, practicing the same shot over and over and over and over and over. And he stood there. He said they had just spent 2.5 hours in the heat practicing one shot. And any pro athlete or anybody who's a professional in those things, that's what they do. They do the same thing. That's how they get so good, is because they do the same thing. And he was just really surprised because he had seen him hit that shot earlier and it was perfect, hole in one. He was just like, wow, that's amazing. But later on when they were golfing, he went back and he saw him practicing. And that's when he realized that that's what it's about, is our habits, just how we can apply that to there's a reason why people are really healthy, or people have, those abs that you want. You're like, oh, they're so amazing looking. There's a reason how they got them, is because they did those exercises and they went to the gym and they worked out and they ate right over and over and over and over and over, to the point where it seemed like, do you still need to be doing that? Like you would think, why is Jack Nicklaus like doing that? He's so good. He doesn't need to be doing that. That's how you get to that point. So when you get sick of thinking that, I'm doing the same things over and over again, yup, you're doing it right. That's what you're supposed to be doing. And he wrote in here, so much for luck, right? Because some people, I think there was even a thread about this on a Facebook page or something, that somebody had said, oh, you're so lucky because whenever you're skinny, or, whatever, something referring to luck. And somebody was like, no, they were like, this is not luck. This is work. And I think sometimes people just think, oh, they're just lucky. They don't have any health issues, or they don't, they're just lucky. And he talks a little bit about that. When you're reaching your goals, it's not about luck. It's about work. And so, but if you work harder, you're a little bit luckier. Your chances of being luckier are better the harder that you work. So don't use that lucky term. That drives me crazy, And we know that nothing happens by chance. So, all right. So we're going to go into the primary choices of optimal health. What are some of these foundations of health? So they're on page 30 in the book. What are some of our foundational things? And you can write them down. They're listed in the book, but it's good to write them down. Healthy eating, healthy weight, active lifestyle, sleep, relaxation, a microenvironment of health, which is basically a network of healthy people, well-being, including social activities, and a support system. So you can write some of those down, and they just encourage you to put a check next to the one that you feel like you're doing. And, some that you need to work on, maybe circle, or, put a little star next to. So our primary choices are going to help us in our secondary choices, so that we'll know what to write. Okay, so I have to go through some of this kind of quickly. So if you need to go back and write these, that's okay. So page 45 in the workbook, list your primary choices for optimal health. So there are 5 steps to help you write down your primary choices. From a mental picture of one of the foundational components, for example, if you pick an active lifestyle, ask yourself, is this the result I want to create? If the answer is yes, that's great. If it's no, then you need to refine your definition of what an active lifestyle is. So for example, I will have great aerobic stamina in 12 months. So these are some of your primary choices that you can write down. Page 45 of the workbook. But I think a big part of this too is making sure that you're not solving a problem. And we talked about that last week too. If your main reason why you're maybe on program or getting healthy or losing weight is to solve a problem, that might occur. You might get off your blood pressure medication, but that can't necessarily be the reason why you're doing it. You want to do it for for more than just that. Because what's going to happen when you do get off your blood pressure medication? Maybe you're not at your goal weight, but if that was your whole reason why, then you're going to think, okay, well, now I'm done. You know, there needs to be an emotional attachment to your why. And so not solving a problem. So for example, if you write, I will stop being so out of breath when I walk. Rewrite your goal to say, I'm going to walk for a half hour every day, and I'm going to be able to talk to my dog the whole time. So yes, that's saying the same thing, but you are being more specific in the second one. So I think that's really where they want us to break it down. And make sure you're describing an actual result, not a process. So we're going to talk about that in secondary choice, but for now, focus on outcomes. So if you write, I will lift weights 3 days a week, rewrite it to say, I'm going to lift weights, but then I'm going to have a lean, toned body. Because you can lift weights 3 times a week, but what is the result of doing that? And everybody wants a lean, toned body. So writing that down will, you know, that's your result. How are you going to get there? And I really like this part, and I skipped this last week. So, and I realized that later after the fact. So on page 31 of the book, in that column on the side, the purple column, says visualize your goals. Find magazine pictures that represent radiant health, put them up on your walls. I like that. Have you ever seen a vision board? It was in the last chapter and I completely skipped it, so I'm sorry. But just to make a vision board for yourself, maybe it's for your health, or maybe you're a health coach and there's some things that you would like to accomplish. You know, you can make a vision board on Pinterest. You can actually make a physical one that you put up on your wall that has pictures, or even for your health goals, you know, find pictures of lean, toned bodies, put them up in your bathroom or on your wall or on your phone. I know sometimes people will put their screenshot that they look up every time they pick up their phone, and maybe it's a picture, or maybe it's a before picture of way back when you were at your goal weight and you know what it's like to be at that weight. Whatever it is, you know, having a visual is super powerful. So if you haven't done that, I just encourage you to do that. And looking at something like that every day is like, oh yes, that's what I want. Reminds me, like jogs my memory. Yes, that is what I want. So I love that. And then, so it talks about creating a structural tension chart, which we talked about and I showed you with all of your choices. So we listed out our primary choices. If we turn the page in the workbook, you will see where it explains. You can make copies actually of this. So in your workbook, page 47, I think page 46 has it, but it has stuff written in it. But you can see where it says right there, be specific. So in this one, just a second. So they want their current reality at the bottom, where they are, 30, 60, 90 days. At the goal, at the top, is healthy weight. The secondary choices that they're making are eating every 3 hours. So you can do this for anything. You can do a structural tension chart for anything that you want to do. You can do multiple ones. If it's, you know, reach my goal weight. Okay, what are we going to do that? We know on program, we're going to talk about this in the next study, you're going to eat every 3 hours. You're going to eat your 5 meal replacements. You're going to drink a lot of water. You're going to actually write each one of those things down in those blanks. So like I said, I can get you one of these, which is a little bit maybe easier if you want one, or ask your coach. So we can get you that, or you can just make copies of this in your workbook. But so your secondary choices are what you're going to be doing daily, every single day, what you're going to be doing to get to your primary choice. And do a sample timeline. You know, like, don't just say, I'm going to drink a bunch of water. Okay, how much water are you going to drink? How many ounces are you going to drink? Because that's different for every person. How much are you going to drink every single day? And write it down. If we don't break it down, then, you know, it's difficult to achieve. So then you're going to write your timeline of success, page 48. When am I going to do this by? Here's my start date. I'm going to do it on this date. And if you want to do something, reach out to your coach, and they're going to help you do this. They're going to help you break it down. And I'm going to do this by this date. I'm going to do this every single day. And maybe you need to fill out this chart and you need to carry it with you and put it in your car, and put it in the folder in your binder. Oh yeah, I'm doing this today. Sometimes that's, we get busy and crazy, and or every morning, there's something awesome about waking up, reading through that. Read it before you go to bed. Did you know that before you go to bed, have you ever had a dream about the last thing that you thought about or saw? Because your subconscious is working while you're sleeping. So I always encourage people, there's something that you are really wanting to achieve, read it out loud every night before you go to bed. Your mind will be thinking about that while you're sleeping. So sorry, just a side note. But you still have to do it. It's not that I'll sleep on top of my study book and I'll know all of it in the morning. You still actually have to do those things. Exercise, it's talking about maybe you have an exercise goal 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 1 year from now. Maybe it's something that you want to be able to do. I want to run a 5K, so I'm going to start slow. Whatever it is, you can do the structural tension with anything. And so if you put your focus on what is important and put most of your energy to that, you're going to make progress. So you can see in the workbook on page 50, there's a guy who looks like he's kind of drowning, holding on to his concepts. So you can see his goals are at the top. There's his path to optimal health, and he's not doing so good. He's holding on to the how I'm going to do it, and it's weighing him down. So maybe you have a self-limiting belief, well, I can't do those things, or I haven't been able to do those things in the past, or this has always been hard for me. Statements like that make more pressure on yourself. So page 51, self-limiting beliefs don't have any place in the creative energy of structural tension. That's why we're going to practice shifting our focus on what's important and giving those our undivided attention. And so that's basically what that drowning guy is doing. You see that little chart right there? When you look up and you stay focused on your goal, you're minimizing your problems and your concepts and your beliefs of how you used to be. But at your current reality, if you're looking down at those things, they're going to weigh on you, and you're going to start reverting back to those things. So always be working towards your ultimate goal and thinking about your ultimate goal, not thinking about the things that are so hard for you. If what you're thinking about is, this is so hard, I don't know if I can do this all the time, that's negative thinking in your mind, instead of, I know that I can do this. I know that I can take these steps. So it's just changing, I think, our thought patterns. And some of us don't have a healthy mind yet about food, about being on program or being healthy. And so that's what a lot of this does, is just helps us change our thinking. And then we make choices that lead us to that ultimate goal. So has choice A and choice B, skipping breakfast, or choice B is eating a low-calorie meal or a meal replacement, and then you make your choice every day. And so this goes on. You'll see all these different choices. Stay up late watching TV and snacking, or go to bed early enough to get enough sleep. You always have a choice, and at any point in time during the day, you can change that choice. You can pick the healthier choice. Maybe you made a bad choice, like we wrote down earlier. Maybe you made a bad choice earlier this week, or probably not today. Hopefully you haven't made any bad choices this morning. You can always change those things. There's always time to turn it around. And I think that's what's so great, is that when we start making those small daily choices, it's going to lead to optimal health. We've all seen in the Habits of Health book, page 35, that chart where it has our daily choices in the middle, are little things that we do supporting our overall goal, or do they slowly decline towards being sick? And, instead of justifying that it's just a little bit of this, or it's just a little bit of that, or it's just, whatever, the more we start doing that, the more it goes down and starts declining our health. So I think chapter 4 is really great on helping us figure out our decisions and how to get there and our ultimate goal, and to change our habits to support that. our primary choices, our secondary choices on the little decisions that we make every day. And a lot of that goes hand in hand with, with the Stop Challenge Choose, and to really be so much more aware of our decisions every day. And yeah, just doing those things is going to help us get to where we want to be. And it has a little chart on page 36, the life of optimal health, what that looks like. Our secondary choices are our actions. Primary choice is the foundational components of health. Fundamental choice is optimal health. So really, I know that everybody on this call wants to work on their ultimate goals, but all of us have different goals. And so hopefully, you can work with your coach to reach those goals, and getting to your healthy weight is really just the first part. If you want to, you can turn to part 2. We're not going to go into this, but I just wanted you to see in the book, part 2, this blue page, where it talks about, if you look at the little stepping stones, so the first one is preparing for your journey. The second one is reaching your healthy weight. That's only the second one. So after that, then it's learning and incorporating the habits of health and optimizing your health. So really, once you reach your healthy weight, that's awesome, but we have a lot of other things that we can work on too. So I think that's really where Take Shape for Life leaves off. We leave off where diets end. Diet, okay, lost some weight, bye-bye, and that's it. And so that's really where Take Shape for Life comes in and says, okay, we're going to equip you to learn those habits of what to do, how to change your eating, how to change your lifestyle. And we're going to equip you how to do those things, what to do, what to eat, how to work out, how to change your habits. And so I think that's why so many of our clients and our coaches are so successful, is because we have a system in place that allows us to be able to do that. Now, whether people choose to do that is always their choice, but the materials are there, the education is there, the support system is there. And so I love that we're always pushing each other on our health journey. So we have just about 5 minutes left. I just wanted to see if anybody wanted to come off and share anything that they learned, or maybe something that happened this week. Maybe you had a Stop Challenge Choose moment and you picked the right choice. Does anybody want to share? Y'all gonna be quiet this morning?
I'll share. Katie, number 2. This past week, Dale and I and our other friends, we like to go to the movies at least once a week. And last week, we wanted to see a certain movie, and we're sitting in the the ropes and wait. We had to wait an hour for the movie, and popcorn was smelling really good. And my girlfriend is going, I want popcorn. And we're going, it's not on plan. And she's going, I want popcorn, for the whole hour. And we were like, we're not eating popcorn. So that was our weakness. I mean, Dale and I were, up till last couple of weeks, we were eating. Dale would get a large popcorn, and now you could go to the movies and get a little white bag. And so Dale would get the large one and pour the white, pour some into the white bag, and then he would refill the large one. So he'd have a large popcorn, and I'd have the white one. And I'm putting butter on it and Parmesan cheese.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. And I'm going, why am I not losing? I'm still staying at this one weight. And I was going, okay. And Dale goes, it's the popcorn.
Yep.
And I was going, yeah, it's that popcorn. So now we take our water. I sneak it in. I get a big purse or a big tote bag, and with my walk, because I still walk with the walker, so they don't check it. So I've got that. I've got our meals, and it's not just me with water. I've got everybody's meals. I got everybody's water. So we don't have that issue no more.
That's great. Yeah. And you just got to change what you're doing,
We have to.
Okay.
And since we did that, I'm not craving to eat that popcorn.
Yes.
When you walk in the movie theater, you're like smelling it. It doesn't bother me now.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yay. And that's hard for people. Popcorn is a big one. So thank you for sharing. Katie, you can hit stop on the recording because it's 9:30, so I don't want to